Thank you very much. And I am also deeply honoured to be here today and very moved to be joining this remarkable academy. And I would like to acknowledge Professor Tom Sperling, who really spearheaded my nomination. I have reviewed the ATSE strategic plan, and I believe it is a bold and forward-thinking document. The aims of the Academy resonate with me in three ways that I'll talk about in the next few minutes. First, as the Vice-Chancellor of Swinburne University of Technology, a university that is particularly interested and committed to science, technology, and innovation. As someone who has devoted her own career for 30 years to research. And thirdly, as a woman committed to the imperative for a more inclusive society where all people can participate more fully. We're all aware that there is a dearth of women in the STEM fields and appreciate the efforts of the Academy to address the issue when too few of any group are not choosing certain fields. The data suggests a systematic bias that warrants action. And I'll say more about that a little later. But first, let me share a little bit with you about my personal story. I'm the oldest of 4 children, raised at a time in Canada when girls were not encouraged to pursue STEM education. However, I was heavily influenced by my Icelandic grandmother, who was a climate refugee. The volcanoes in Iceland had really affected the ability to grow crops, and so they had to flee. And so I always grew up in a family that understood the importance of agriculture and knew the costs of wheat and the milk marketing board in Canada and everything else. But she only obtained a year 3 education and conveyed a strong message to me that I should obtain an education and make a contribution. And as a 9-year-old little girl, 2 things then happened. I was given a microscope for Christmas, and I subsequently examined everything I could find in the house, from dust particles to everybody's saliva. That same year, I also read a book called Nurses Who Led the Way. Now, this was not a tale of handmaidens in white uniforms or obedient women, but it was stories of heroines who had made advances in healthcare, in the discovery of germ theory, and social welfare. Women such as Florence Nightingale, who was one of the instigators of the British Statistical Society, who made assiduous observations and helped to understand the effect of germs and hygiene practices during the Crimean War. And Clara Barton, who initiated the Red Cross. Now, these women inspired me, and I was hooked, and a career in nursing was what I thought I wanted. So I pursued this plan, and I obtained a 4-year Bachelor of Nursing degree in Canada, which was packed with courses in microbiology and chemistry and anatomy, physiology, as well as ethics and psychology and nursing practice. These courses combined my curiosity with biological sciences and my deep concern for people. I then completed a 2-year Master of Nursing degree specializing in cancer care, and later obtained a PhD at the University of Arizona, focusing on palliative care. I came to Australia 21 years ago to take up the role as the inaugural first professor and chair of palliative care funded by the Cancer Council of Western Australia. And in that role, I educated doctors and other health professionals about pain management, symptom relief and how to measure symptoms, emotional comfort and care to patients and families. My primary focus, though, was to develop the knowledge in this very pioneering field of palliative care, so we had better science to inform our practices. I was the first palliative care researcher ever in Canada to receive funding from the National Cancer Institute of Canada, and later was fortunate to have support from the NHMRC here and the NIH in the United States. At the center of the work has always been the quest to improve care for patients with a terminal illness and their families. Some of these outcomes have been projects such as how to simply find ways to measure reliably and validly the symptom distress of people at end of life. If we don't measure pain, we don't know how to intervene, we don't know if we're making a difference. A touchscreen computer project that was used in a pediatric cancer clinic to help parents be able to document the treatment and care experience of their children so we could provide better tailored care. A project for people with motor neuron disease. And this is where I reached out to my computer science colleagues to help us in the early 80s to use computers to help our patients who were really locked in their bodies use Morse code to tap so that their voices could then be transmitted to a computer and their family could hear their thoughts and their feelings. I mean, this is technology and humanity, and it was just one of the most inspiring things for me. To find solutions to problems faced by my patients, I found myself increasingly reaching out to researchers in different fields, such as in engineering and computer scientists. And I've always been drawn to the way that science and humanity intersect to solve problems that matter. It wasn't a surprise later that I found myself in leadership roles in research and science and took on the role as Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Research and Development at Curtin University, which was a wonderful opportunity to be as excited about other people's research as my own, and to see myself on a different platform being able to choreograph the amazing work that people were undertaking there, and able to create 20 spin-off companies in the 5 years I had that role to really help move that research into the real world. I took up my role as VC at Swinburne in 2011, and again, it's a university that's committed to creating social and economic impact through science, technology, and innovation. I've been fortunate to serve on boards and organizations overseeing science, technology, and healthcare innovations, such as Ozscope, having served as chair of that for almost 10 years, managing the geoscience and geospatial research infrastructure for the country, serving on the synchrotron board, the CRC for spatial information, just to name a few. I've also been grateful for the opportunities I have at Swinburne to advance the objectives of inclusive technology, science, engineering, and industry engagement. We took a decision 2 years ago to promise that every undergraduate program would have an industry-based learning experience. We've invested $240 million in advanced manufacturing and technology facilities with the aim of serving our community through engaged research and our future-ready graduates. We're firmly committed to achieving gender equality. We've embraced the SAGE program and have been named an employer of choice for 9 years running. We've created dedicated research fellowships for women in STEM and have worked actively with schools from the primary age right through to secondary to encourage more people to take on STEM subjects. For example, our Digital Divas program is a girls-only elective in Year 8. Which involves an hour each week over 1 semester, and this school-based program builds girls' ICT skills and confidence and increases their motivation to continue studying ICT. We have a leading team through the work of Dr. Therese Keane that is researching the use of humanoid robotics in education. The team has been tracking the success of 2 humanoid robots being employed in schools to see how schools integrate them into the curriculum, how teachers work with them, and how students interact. We hosted the Victorian tournament for the FIRST, which stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology, LEGO League, an event that attracts more than 300 students. And we were delighted to mentor the RoboCats, an all-girl team of secondary school students who built an industry robot for the International First Robots competition, winning the 2017 South Pacific Championships in April. We recently signed an agreement with ATSE Technology to set up a Neurodiversity Hub to help neurodiverse people with undoubted skills and talents who don't always find it easy to find a job. Neurodiversity covers a range of conditions which are part of normal human variation, including autism spectrum disorders, anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress. This program will help those with autism find work at DXC and other large organizations in IT roles, including testing, analytics, operations, and cybersecurity. And we're launching our Innovation Precinct in early 2018 to bring together our expertise in manufacturing, design, IT, science, engineering, and business, as we welcome industry and the external community to tackle complex problems and foster innovation. And just last night, we had a speed dating night with 80 PhD students and 27 industry partners where they could meet and look at opportunities for our graduating PhD students to work on innovative projects in industry. And I think we had a 40% matching success, which was great. So these are just a few ways that we're trying to bring to life our commitment to create social and economic impact through science, technology, and innovation. Let me conclude by sharing some reflections on the Academy and the Academy of the Future. The Academy of the Future will be responsive and more engaged with its future graduates, its members, employers, and the wider community. And to that end, I'm happy to contribute as a cultural broker. The Academy of the Future must be inquiry-driven, professionally attuned, and humanely informed. And we must take our global responsibility seriously, whether that is addressing problems of climate change, energy, agriculture, health, and aging problems. So thank you again for the opportunity to share my thoughts, and more importantly, for the privilege to serve the Academy to help achieve its laudable goals. Thank you.